Did you just buy a house or maybe considering buying a house here in the near future? If you did, this is a video you're going to want to watch and then rewatch over and over again and possibly save, because it is going to give you valuable insights as to how you maintain your house over the many years to not just have a great experience for yourself while you live in the house, but it is an asset and to help maintain its value as well. These tips are extremely important to know, and I wish I would have had a list like this when I first went to buy my first home. I'm going to give you 11 tips and one bonus tip at the very end that is a big ticket item that nobody ever talks about. But yeah, I'm going to give it to you to make sure you're fully informed at the end of this video, because unfortunately I had to learn the hard way. And remember, this video is very applicable to homes in the Phoenix area, in the desert, because these things may not be as applicable to homes in other parts of the country. So this is very important for Phoenix or people around the Phoenix area homeowners. Now let's get started. That being said, living in the desert, number one is going to be servicing your HVAC unit. That's right, guys, your air conditioner unit is extremely important. Now there's two main types of air conditioning units. There's a split system where you have a condensing unit that is going to be typically on the side of your house or maybe on a roof. And then you're going to have the air handler, which a lot of times is going to be in a closet, in a flat roof situation, in a hallway, or if you have an attic space, in the attic. The second type is going to be a package unit, which are those two items combined into one, and that typically sits on your roof or in your attic as well. But it's extremely important to service your air conditioning unit at least one time a year, preferably before it starts getting too hot out, because you want to make sure everything is running at optimal levels. The worst thing you want to have, guys, is a air conditioner go out in July or August in the desert when it's going to be a high of about 110 to 111 almost every single day. Making sure that you have the right freon levels, making sure your fan is working correctly, making sure everything, all your systems are working in order, making sure you have the insulation on your freon line, and the list goes on. These are all things that a technician will do when they come out to your house to service your unit. Now, a lot of air conditioning companies, yes, they have salespeople, and yes, they want to make money. They're definitely for profit. They will sell you a maintenance program, and that can be good or bad. I have no opinion on it because it depends on what you are comfortable with. But the maintenance program will be a monthly fee you pay every month, and they just come out maybe once or twice a year and will service your air conditioner. That also usually includes some discounts in the event you have a major repair you need to get done. But servicing your AC in the desert is by far the number one thing you need to make sure you do as a homeowner. Number two, change your filters. So we're talking air conditioning filters, but there are more filters than that in your house. The air conditioning filters are the most important ones to arguably make sure you get changed out. And what I would do is I would change them monthly. I would get the cheap ones, because most HVAC companies I've talked to said they're much better because A, they're cheaper, more stuff will get through, some more airflow gets through. They don't last as long, but you need to change them once a month. You can do that or buy the more fancy ones and change them out every 60, 90 days. But again, the technicians seem to always fall back to just buy the cheap ones and do it once a month, and that's extremely important for your system. We also have other filters that a lot of people don't talk about, the main one being your drinking water in your fridge. If you get drinking water out of your fridge, that is filtered water, which is great, but it will throw a light, a red light typically, when it needs to be replaced. And you can do that based on your model number of your refrigerator and also your RO system. If you have a reverse osmosis system, that filter is also going to need to be replaced over time. And the one that a lot of people don't talk about as well is the dishwasher filter. That's right, guys, your dishwasher has a filter. Now you need to look at your instruction manual and your model number, but there's a filter in there that needs to be changed from time to time, but definitely revert back to that to make sure what the right frequency of that is. Because after all, who doesn't like having clean, sparkling dishes? Number three, check your roof. That's right, guys. In Arizona, you're gonna have a pitched roof or a flat roof. Now, I personally live in a flat roof home, and it has pros and cons just like anything else, but they're made out of foam on top of the plywood on the roof. Now, on top of the foam, you have this film called elastomeric, which is like white, thick, super thick paint that goes on to protect the foam from critters and from the sun over time. But there is maintenance there. You do need to recoat your roof depending on the type of elastomeric you use or your roofer uses. You need to coat it every 5 or 10 years in that example. But don't forget, because the people that actually forget to recoat their flat roof are the ones that actually have a big bill to pay many times down the road or when you go to sell the house. Now let's talk about pitched roofs. Pitched roofs are going to be different. And pitched roofs in Arizona are going to have tile roofs, or some have asphalt roofs like you see in the Midwest. The asphalt roof does work well in the desert area, but not as well as concrete tile roofs on homes. Those concrete tiles can last 50, 60, 70, 80 years in that example, but you do have a layer of paper under those tiles. And the paper does go bad, usually somewhere between the 10 and 25-year mark. It just depends on the poundage of that paper. But when someone talks about in Arizona replacing their roof with a pitched roof with tiles on it, typically they're talking about the paper being replaced. Now it's still a big job because the roofer has to remove all those tiles, put the paper back on, put the tiles back on, reseal everything. So it does run anywhere from, let's call it $10,000 to $16,000 for the average home that has a pitched roof that might be around the ballpark of 16 to 2,500 square feet. You also want to check your roofs for missing tiles, broken tiles. And pro tip, probably don't want to walk on your roof. Why? Because those tiles are very fragile, and if you step the wrong way on them, they will crack. If they crack, you now have a seal that is broken for water, etc., to get down to that paper, which is what you don't want. Same thing goes for birds. Guys, there's a lot of pigeons in the Phoenix Valley area. And the pigeons on your roof, you think, no big deal. The problem is when they use the bathroom, right? Pigeon poop. Oof, who wants to talk about that? But we need to address it because when the feces is sitting on the roof and it rains, the water trickles down onto the paper. Well, it's very acidic and the acid eats away at the paper, which causes your roof potentially to not last as long as it should. So pro tip on that, check the roof for birds. And if you have a bird problem, you want to do something with getting them away and off the roof. And there are companies that specialize in this, believe it or not. So you just give one of them a call and they will be gone. Number 4, clean your gutters. But Kelly, I thought most homes in Arizona don't have gutters. Well, you would be right in saying that. A lot of them don't, actually, believe it or not. If you look at the house, next time you drive down the street, you'll notice it all of a sudden, wow, there's not a lot of gutters on these houses. You probably haven't noticed it before because you haven't looked, but now that you know it's there, you can't miss it. It's one of those odd things, right? But in Arizona, a lot of homes do not have basements. So they are concrete slab on grade. It's a flat concrete slab. They build up from there. In Arizona, because the ground is very dry and brittle, you really don't want to have water pooling around the foundation, even though it's a concrete slab. So what you want to do is make sure water flows away from the actual concrete base of the home. Well, what's the best way to do that? Well, number 1, have your grade of your dirt and your rock slope away from the home. That's the easy one. Number 2, get some gutters. You can actually put gutters on the house and control where that rain flows when it comes off the roof to different parts of your lot and away from your house. So make sure you clean those gutters in the event you have them to make sure the water flows away from your foundation. Oh, by the way, Arizona does have expansive soils in certain parts of the valley. Give us a call. Let us know if you want questions on the expansive soils areas, because those areas, you really want to have a post-tension slab if you can get it when owning the house for hopefully not having future foundation issues. All right, guys, if you're enjoying this, please feel free to give me a call. I'd love to chat with you about real estate or anything real estate related when it comes to everything Phoenix. 480-660-5974 or book a link on our Calendly link below in our description. Guys, one of the things we do, guys, is we actually send a magnet like this that has seasonal home tips for every single month of the year to our clients because, again, I've been selling real estate in the Valley for 20 years, and this is things that we do for all of our past clients as a way to say thank you for being clients of our team. So if you have any questions about real estate, we'd love to make you one of our clients as well in the future. Number 5, seal your house. That's right, guys. You want to prevent pesky pests from coming inside your house. One of the best ways to do that in Arizona is by sealing the bottom around the stem wall of your home, because that's where a lot of creepy crawlies get in, primarily scorpions. Now, scorpions aren't that prevalent in a lot of the homes, but they are prevalent in some. And if you have them, they're very hard to get rid of. One of the main things you want to do is get rid of their food source. If you hear crickets and you're living in your house, and you hear crickets at night or anytime during the day, have the pest guy come out, spray the home, get rid of the crickets, because the crickets you can easily get rid of. And if you get rid of the food source, naturally, the scorpions, they leave. That's the number 1 way to get rid of it. But outside of that, seal your house and cut back your trees. You don't want to have anything overhanging onto your roof because they will get up in the tree, they'll drop down from a branch onto your roof tile and somehow flatten their bodies out and get into your house some way or another. So that's another pro tip to making sure you keep those pests out of your house. Now, when it comes to pest control, pro tip, I would at least have your home professionally treated by a pest control company at least once every 2 months. Now, a lot of people do it once a month, and that's fantastic. You can do that too. It's just gonna be a little more expensive. But then you really wanna have it professionally treated by a pest control company at least once every 2 months. Number 6 will be your dryer vent. That's right, guys. Clean it. Get rid of all of the lint that is stuck in that dryer vent, because believe you me, you have some lint in that dryer vent, and that is a fire hazard. So you want to make sure you get in there and someone will come out and blow it out all the way out through the attic or out of the roof, ideally, and it gets it out of your home and out of your dryer vent. You just don't want to risk that. That is not something you want to mess with. So make sure you get your dryer vent cleaned. Number 7 is a great one because a lot of people don't talk about this one either, but it is pulling out your refrigerator once every 6 months or so and vacuuming and dusting all the maybe dog hair or just dust and lint that gets on the floor under your fridge. Why? Because that stuff can actually collect around the fridge coil based upon what kind of model of fridge you have, and it can affect the performance of the fridge. And as worse, it can actually make it stop cooling and working correctly, all because you didn't clean under the stuff that you don't even see that gets under your fridge. So once every 6 months or so, I'd pull it out, make sure that floor and around where under that fridge sits is extremely clean. Number 8 is gonna be test your water pressure. Did you know that having too much water pressure in your house could maybe destroy and ruin your plumbing fixtures? You don't wanna have too much pressure coming out of those fixtures at all times. And those fixtures, yeah, well, they can be pretty expensive. So you wanna maintain them and keep them hopefully for a long time. One of the best ways to do this is go get a gauge at your local hardware store for $20, $25. Test it, it will tell you exactly how to do it and what the readings are, because ideally you wanna have that PSI between 40 and 60 for your water pressure in your home. Oh, and if it's too high, you just simply get a pressure reducing valve, which again is fairly cheap at your local hardware store. Number 9, you wanna drain your hot water heater. You should do this about once a year. You see, that's great for maintaining that hot water heater because if you do that, you could get a lot more use out of it. See, the average hot water heater may last 10, 12, 13 years or so, but if you drain it, potentially, not guaranteed, it could last a lot longer, 15, 20 years in these examples. So you wanna make sure you get that drained every once in a while. And by the way, if you don't have a pan around your hot water heater, you might want to consider hiring a plumber to install one of those to contain any leaks you may have so you don't have a bigger mess in the event your hot water happens to leak. Number 10. This is a seasonal one. It is December, guys. Before you light that fire for the first time in December, when the weather starts getting a little bit chilly in the desert, which is a great time of year ahead of Christmas, you may want to check your flue of your fireplace or your chimney. You make sure it's open, make sure it's operating correctly. The last thing you want to do is start a fire for the first time in the season and have some sort of clog up there or some sort of issue where the smoke does not get out. And not only does your house retain some of that smoke, but you could have a bigger issue with the fire, which is what you really don't want. So every season, usually the 1st of December, or maybe for some of you guys who get cold a lot easier in November, check your fireplace, make sure it's cleaned out. And number 11, recaulking around wet surfaces. Okay, so every 3 to 5 years, you want to recaulk around wet surfaces. So what are those surfaces? Well, around bathroom sinks, around showers and bathtubs, and then of course, around your windows. If there's caulking around these areas, which most of these areas all have caulking, you want to just put a nice little bead around, a fresh bead around these areas to keep water that spills over off the bathroom sink, onto the counters, away from your cabinets, your walls, and things of that nature. This will ensure that A, you don't have any water damage, and B, you definitely don't get any of the M word happening, which is mold, okay? So just recaulk on these areas, check it out. It's super easy to do. You might have to actually scrape some of the old caulking off first to make sure you get that nice clean bead of caulking all around there, looking just nice, but that's something you really want to do every 3 to 5 years. Now for the bonus tip, what you've all been waiting for, what's that high ticket item that potentially could go sideways on you if you don't maintain it properly? That's your garage doors. Not your actual door itself, but the mechanism bringing the garage door up and down when you press that button and don't even think about it. That's right, guys, you have springs on your garage doors. Some garage doors have 1 spring, some garage doors have 2 springs on each side of the metal bar. So either way, you need to have these garage door springs service and potentially the chain and motor that opens the garage door, ideally 1 time a year. But in between that, you can also go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever it may be, and you can actually get some garage lubricant spray specifically for springs and actually apply them to the garage door springs and the areas where it advises. So I would highly recommend to do that because having a garage door spring go is awful and it can be very expensive. So that's it, guys. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of these 12 items I just gave you to maintain your home the appropriate way. I wish someone had told me that a long time ago. It didn't happen, but now you have the list and you're fully prepared moving into the future as a homeowner. So congratulations again on buying that house, or congratulations on at least saving up to be in the position to buy a house in the near future. If there's anything we can do for you, please don't hesitate to call. We love to chat with you. We get calls all the time, text messages, literally multiple times a day throughout a given week. And we would love to chat with you as well. 480-660-5974. Reach out to us on the information on the screen, guys. And I hope you enjoyed the video for your education and a little bit of entertainment. And don't forget to call me